Okay, this is Lies of Astaroth. It's an automated card game, the type you get in Congregate if you've ever seen War Metal Tyrant or Storm Wars. It's along those lines. You build a very short deck, 10 cards or less, in fact. And the only input you have into the game itself is the order in which they come out. And then they perform an entire battle for you. And I think the interesting part of the game is the battle. You know, there's a lot of free-to-play elements, and there's a lot of overlapping events which force you to stay logged in the whole time or spend money to catch up with players who spend money. But that's really the least interesting bit. The worst thing you could do with a game like this is to take it seriously as something competitive. But the merit it has is where it has a beautiful battle system. So what I want to do is let one of the battles run. We can look at the cards first. I think I'm running some cards which are too good. Well, let me show you. This campaign system has a number of tiered worlds. You beat one, you go to the next. Because I was following an event for the whole week, I haven't been progressing this, so I'm probably overpowered. So the first, if I do more than one video, it'll probably be just me absolutely annihilating the defending. Oh, one thing about this is that it's not a game where you play against players. You might play against their defined deck, but it's all automated, and you never have to wait for them, and you never have to be trolled by them, and that's kind of nice for an online game. But on the flip side, the game becomes about working out the most efficient way to raise resources. You know, it stops being a card game, and it becomes a meta game where you're working out when and how often and where, how often is optimal to click, what you think the rewards will be, what your opponents might be doing. You know, it gets to a point where it's not interesting unless you want it to be a sport. And for me, the single player is more interesting. So let's watch a battle. Oh yeah, it takes a while to load up the first time. This is a laggy game, I've got to say, but I've just rebooted the laptop, and I haven't opened the game before this on this reboot, so it should be fine. We both start with 4 runes. These activate, certain prerequisite situations. You can use this to pre-meta game against your opponent if you know what sort of elements they're playing, because this has got 4 races, like four factions, I guess. Factions is the word. And a lot of the time they have damage bonuses against each other. Like the cards... Not this one, but some cards will have this text. Its attack will increase by so much when attacking. But it'll say when attacking a forest card, or when attacking a kingdom card. So there is an elemental aspect to it, but I'm not sure how much meaning the elemental bit has. The runes have very game-breaking effects, but they don't last forever. This one's very gentle, actually. You can make it fire almost just as a consequence of it being in your deck. No matter what, it'll always go off. This one's for coming back, obviously. Oh, it's level 0. You can level these things up by spending other runes, and you generate runes for a random method. You can spend them to level up, and you get to a maximum level 4, and it increases the magnitude of this. It doesn't gain another effect, it just gets a number that's bigger. Okay, we're not going to play a card. No, wait, no. Yeah, we are going to play a card. This is at its best when it's opposite another creature, because creatures who are opposite automatically fight, and then there's a number of abilities which might fire as a result of them doing damage or receiving damage. So playing it first is just to deal damage to the opponent, and to this far, having played the game, it doesn't matter that much for early damage. Getting a foothold's more important. I haven't won a game early, apart from with a very specific card, and you've got no way of guaranteeing you'll draw it unless you only put a couple of cards in the deck, and that's got other issues. And because the system gives you 10 card slots, I want to use them on most of them. I think there are situations where running 2 or 3 cards might be better than running 10. But it doesn't appeal to me. I just want to see what happens when I can use more of my cards. So there's no summoning sickness like magic. This is a rune firing, so we get more hit points. We attack directly if there's nothing in front of us. We're not going to play this card because of an ability it has. Exile and Quick Strike. So if there's a card opposite it, we banish it for free. And that's the main ability of a card, so it's a waste to play it first. You see I've got a ludicrous counterattack. But also, this has a sort of drain and berserk ability. It powers up when it hits something. Oh no, that's not right. It powers up when taking damage, so yeah, okay. You see this is a card that fights against other elements. Trap is an annoying ability because there's only a few cards that protect against it, and otherwise it's random whether it lands on you or not. So it creates a lot of variance, and it basically it freezes a creature, it time walks a creature, so it does nothing. Incredibly irritating. This has the same ability as that, but it fires every turn. I think it's actually a ridiculous card. This is the card I was talking about that gets early kills. You know, if you can heal this up, and it's got 2 abilities which keeps it alive. You know, it gates the damage, it repairs the damage, and every turn it banishes the opposing card and then hits the opponent. So that's a bit good. So we'll keep that in our hand in case we get overwhelmed. Wow. Unnecessary, but wow. So they're taking less damage. And they're healing up when they deal damage. So they got some serious sticking power, but not against being removed from the board directly. Let's have a look at her. Another trapper. Mostly it deals poison to us, that's our green border. Poison's not really that powerful at low magnitudes, it just looks threatening. It's not what you worry about. Yeah, we've won this, I think. This is a lot like the trap ability, except there's a different ability which makes you immune to it. That's the main difference. It deals a bit of magical damage, but it's not really much to worry about. This is an absolutely insane card. I just got this for having played the game for 20 days. Its abilities look nothing like anything else in the game that I've encountered so far. Whenever it dies, put it back in your hand. And you'll notice most of these cards have an even cooldown. When the cooldown hits 0, you can play it from your hand. So when this gets put in your hand, it cools down 1 because of their turn. So in a way, you get to play it a whole turn earlier, the second time. And it strikes me as a card that's too good. Like a card that was designed more recently to keep the appeal of buying new cards. It's like the classic Magic the Gathering power creep. Like, it's cool that they add new abilities, because I haven't seen any of these outside of this card apart from this. And this is on the card because I've upgraded it especially, and it gets a random ability when you hit level 15. That's not really the selling point of the card, that's a nice bonus. This Dracula song is ludicrous. The 100% recovery is very silly indeed. Essentially with 1, so I may as well play quicker. Yeah, you know, a week ago, before the event started, I was having trouble with this mission. I didn't save it to start at World 9 in a very neat way. I saved it because I couldn't beat it. But now it's very trivial. So I might be playing for a while before we see a close mission. We win a card. Another thing I want to do with these videos is go back and look at what was best, because the game's got a guide associated with it, and I'm ignoring it. I really want to work out what's good through putting it in my own decks and seeing how it unfolds. I'm fairly sure this Wyvern is very boring. This is a card I want to remove. It's attack, and counterattack. So it's immune to nothing, and it can't revive itself or heal anything else on the battlefield. It's very limited, and the attack isn't that good initially. Obviously it powers up, but I don't think it powers up quick enough. I think it strikes me as a card they designed early on in the game. If you see where I'm going with that. It's these cards have like levels from 1 to 5. Generally, they've got no bearing on anything apart from certain challenge levels. Kind of dare you to run certain card levels, and if you ignore that, you can survive the fight, but you don't beat them. You don't get any reward from doing it. So, other than that, you basically want to be running with 5-star ones because they're the best. But recent cards, which are at 3 and 4-star, like the Moon Shadow, I'm fairly sure this is a recent card, and the Rooster is very recent. They've sort of thrown the rules out on their old card designs. They know they're obsolete, and they're not hiding it. They're just improving things at a quicker rate. So the old 5-star cards become beginner 5-star cards, and once you work out what's good and what's not, then you'll stop playing them when you've got access to more things. Which I guess is the business model of all card games. All card games that didn't die in the first expansion in 1995. At least. What didn't we see? We didn't see the mermaid. This can trap all the cards. It freezes them, but it's basically the same thing. And this is another form of trapping, to be honest. It still lets the creature's abilities fire off. So if a mermaid confuses an opposing mermaid, the other mermaid still attempts to freeze all your cards, but then it hits its own controller instead of you. I think this is a good card. It doesn't defend itself. It can dodge, I suppose. Yeah, that's not bad. That's like all three abilities are relevant, and you don't feel insulted by any of them. Like this creature's attack raises by 30. That's terrible. The numbers are less important than the effects. As in all role-playing games, as in all card games, as in all strategy games. The effects and the tactics mean more than the magnitude of them. The Chaotic Bear does nothing. It's a bit like the Wyvern. Generally, you get these Wilderness faction cards, and they're beasts which attack, or they're healers, and the healers seem better. Mind you, this is Wilderness, and it's completely off the wall. So maybe there's 3 sort of cards, and the third type of card is completely insane. So I guess that'll do it for now. I'll upload this and see how embarrassing it is, see if I want to make a second one. Thanks for watching if you stuck around. See ya.